Was he cheating? I don't think so.
What's going on, everybody? It's Willoughby's, and welcome back to the Lore Chronicles. So, cheating in Disney Lorcana. Honestly, with the year and something months we've had in this game's lifespan, I think we've heard way too much about cheating in Lorcana. And unfortunately, this weekend was no different. It was only an allegation, but we did see a cheating allegation that really caught fire, as these things tend to do in the community. And so, of course, we're breaking it down and talking about what the difference between cheating and making a genuine mistake is. And more importantly, perhaps, is whether or not Ravensburger or Lorcana has rules that are simply too lenient that enable cheating, and what that means for us as a community, especially without a judge program. Dick and I do our best to break it down, but as always, we would love to hear your feedback. Hope you enjoy the discussion. We've got quite a doozy here today, Dick. Something big happened this weekend. So at CCS, there was a tourney. I think it was like they ended up having 300 something players. I think the prizing went up to $12,000. So this was a big event.
$13,000.
$13,000. It was a huge event. Massive event. Lots of money on the line. And lots of Lorcana going on, right? And so naturally, it went down in flames. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure it was a very well-run event. But unfortunately, there was some drama this weekend that we have to discuss. So let's pull up. I've got Zan Syed's tweet here because I don't want to speak for him. If you want to go over the full thread of everything that happened, according to Zan, he lists out everything in his opinion here. We're not really going to go through all of that today. What we're just going to talk about is like what happened and what we think about it. So as you can see here, Zan tweeted a video after CCS saying, if this isn't cheating, I don't know what is. And basically on stream, somebody drew 8 cards off of A Whole New World, which you're only supposed to draw 7 cards for, right? So that was the big controversy this weekend. Immediately comments started flooding because this is the word that Zan used. He used the word cheating, and he did allege that his opponent cheated against him. So we saw a lot of different mixed reactions. Immediately, people were outraged. They were saying that, because Zan said that this did not result in a game loss. So like I said, you can read that whole thread there. People were saying this should have been a game loss. People were saying that this person is a cheater and that it was remedied incorrectly. And for clarity,
other people were saying, just get over it.
That's true. That's true.
It was every side.
A lot of people were really mad, but a lot of people were like, okay, things happen, we move on. Yeah, for sure. Wow, I'm seeing now this tweet got almost 100,000 views. So a lot of people in the Lorcana space saw this. And probably out of the Lorcana space as well. To my knowledge, this was ruled a card count error. They did what they thought was best given the public guidelines for card count error. This player was given a warning, not a game loss, and everybody moved on. So that is what happened this weekend at CCS. Now, what I think has been hotly debated by the community is, was the remedy correct? And so before we really get into this, I want to clarify that what we're going to be discussing is public knowledge in terms of the public judges like database, basically. What's it called? The comprehensive rules, the tournament rules.
Yeah, and play correction guide.
Thank you. So that is the document that I'm going to be referencing here. I did speak to a couple of judges, meaning people that have judged DLCs in the past. There is no, as we all know, there is no official judge program for Disney Lorcana. So nothing that I am saying or the judges that I spoke to or saying or Dick is going to say is official. None of it is official. It is all opinion, and it is all our interpretations of this public guide and is not meant to represent Ravensburger or judges or anything like that in any way. Now all the legal jargon's out of the way. Let's get into this.
I also do want to say that some of these judges agreed to go on record and we agreed no. Because
to protect them.
It's the internet. Yeah. Like if you don't believe what we're saying, then don't watch our videos.
Yeah, it's fine. If you think I just talk to myself, that's okay. Sometimes I do talk to myself. So, according to the judges that I spoke with, these are judges that have judged multiple DLCs. This is just their opinion. Is yes, this was ruled correctly. This was a card count error, and you can find the references for card count errors in section 2.3. And then we also talked a little bit. I just wanted, to get a whole scope of everything with some of the judges that I talked to. We talked about how there's also general rules for error, which are covered in 2.4, which can go over. For general rule errors, you can sometimes rewind game states. And then there's also specificity surrounding rewinds in 1.2. So all of that fancy stuff, read it if you want. The point is that yes, regardless of what some may have called for online, I heard things like, they should have taken a random card, reshuffled the game state, or excuse me, rewind the game state, took the cards back, shuffled them, picked a random one, put it back, shuffled the deck, blah, 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 right? There's a lot of different things. People that were saying that this should have been way more than just a warning and move on. But according to the official document that we have to interpret, this was correct. And so anybody who's mad about it, too bad. I mean, obviously we can have our opinions on Lorcana's rulings, and we'll get to that in a second, but I think the important thing here is that this was ruled correctly. Before we get into more specific criticisms about the Lorcana rulings, is there anything you want to add briefly just about what happened and then how it was ruled?
Yeah, so I do think that it was ruled correctly. I think it was remedied incorrectly.
Okay, let's hear it.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things I want to say. For one, I was sitting like 10 feet away.
Mhm.
I did not witness this. And this is another issue. I was sitting with one of my friends. 3 people walked over and explained to me what happened. And it was 3 different stories.
Mm-hmm.
And all of them were kind of close to the video that was on Zan's thing, right? So maybe don't take everything you hear exactly verbatim, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I did see in the video there was a Bare Necessities played, right? And he got to look at Zan's hand. And at that point, I feel like the game state can't be rewound before that. Because, maybe what if he missed on that Bare Necessities?
Right.
That'd probably gone the inkwell if he was able to rewind before that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I do think apparently the game did get rewound to the point where even the Bare Necessities went back and such. And I think
allegedly, we're not sure.
I think that at that point, there's no way you could have rewound that far. I actually liked something Tegan had said in the comments of like, well, why didn't we just, put all the cards back and do a whole new world for both players? Like that also I would have been fine with.
Right.
But yeah, either way, I think this is all just a symptom, and apparently this isn't just happening in Lorcana right now. This is all just a symptom of it's really difficult to have a judge program, and we currently don't have any semblance of a judge program.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to talk about that. So that's kind of what happened and like how it was ruled. But there's more to be said about this, right? Because there are the community's opinions. And just like you said, what's been brought up in light of this controversy is things like, we still do not have any word on if there will be a judge program, and the community still really wants a judge program. Some people are like, screw the cheating, screw the judge program. You want to know what we don't have word about? Worlds, right? So
that's gonna be the answer to everything, though, from most players.
For most players, right? So like there's a lot to say, but I think a big thing that's part of this discussion that many players I saw being brought up in just my sphere of things was a lot of players were upset that even though this was ruled correctly, they felt that, like, I guess Lorcana's like rules in general are too lenient. And so they're like, yeah, I know it was ruled correctly, but this isn't how it should have been ruled, in the sense that Lorcana shouldn't rule it this way. And what we're talking about here is, for Lorcana, you have to get a game warning for the same thing 3 times in order for it to be a DQ, or things that fall under the same category, right?
In one tournament.
In one tournament, right?
Yeah. Whereas like in Magic, that stuff gets logged in the system, and if you get too many, even within a 5-year period, you could end up getting suspended.
Right. So that's something to notice too, is that you could, let's say, card count incorrectly twice at a DLC, and not get, you get 2 warnings, but you don't get the game loss. Go to the next DLC in the next city over, a month down the line, and get 2 more warnings, and they are basically fresh, right? And so that was a lot of what people were saying was, compared to other games like Magic, but I'm sure there's others, Lorcana is more quote unquote lenient, right? And so this is what I want to talk about first. Do you think Lorcana is too lenient and that they need to clean up those rules?
I think that is an insanely difficult topic.
It's so hard.
And could be its own like 2-hour video. There's 2 ways of looking at it. One, we call the officials judges. Okay, so that means the word judge should mean that you can use your judgment, whether like this one instance, technically by the books should be a warning, and not this one, but any instance. Technically by the books should be a warning, but I'm going to upgrade it, stuff like that. And then you have other people saying like, no, there should be no human error, no judgment coming from judges, especially if they didn't physically witness what happened, and they have to go strictly by the book. So that kind of makes me think that they should maybe change the word judge to something else, like rules enforcement officer or something.
Yeah.
Rules enforcement official. Because, like, again, I feel like judges need to have some kind of, to be able to make a judgment. They shouldn't hold a 5-year-old to the same exact restrictions that they hold me to, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's hard to say, honestly. It's and I love giving my opinion, and I just don't have a great one on this.
Yeah, and I think that's why it was so interesting to me seeing the way that people talked about it, because I think at the very least, when we make these videos, obviously we're giving our opinion, but we also try to be as objective as possible. We try to understand and see all sides, and I can understand where people who really value, integrity and competitive integrity and just the spirit of competition really want, this game to be held to a higher standard, similar to that of, its card game peers, so to speak. So I can see where a lot of people are upset that like you can, so like, I guess technically get away with so many things so many times before like anything is really done about it. Like that logic makes sense to me. I think the only thing though is not that I disagree, but more so in an effort to see all sides of it, I do think that Lorcana's rules are quote unquote lenient in the way that they are by design. And I think that design is with new players in mind. And I do genuinely feel that way. And one of the judges that I spoke to shared a similar opinion. And that's all this is an opinion. I don't know why Lorcana has the rules the way they are, but my guess is that this is supposed to be, a family-oriented game. They do want you to be able to play with your 5-year-old, and like they want people who've never played trading card games before to be able to play this game without, if you get called to be up on stream, which we've seen before, they've toyed around with the idea of you're not allowed to decline going on stream, right? We saw that towards the end of the DLC competitive season. That can make people nervous. I play worse. I remember when I first went on stream for the first time ever, I like slow played my opponent totally unintentionally because I was just so nervous I couldn't think, right? So like when you are genuinely nervous, you can make mistakes, and I do think that because like Lorcana knows that about its player base and they're trying to cater to that. It is part of why it could be interpreted as, quote, so lenient. You don't have to like that about Lorcana, but I do think at the very least we as players have to understand that that is the decision that Lorcana or Ravensburger has made, and rather than immediately, you know, going to Twitter and saying this person is a cheater or Lorcana is too lenient and it breeds cheaters and catastrophizing and hyperbolizing, there are constructive ways to give feedback to the company that can let them know that we want to see change. And I do think personally the way that this situation was handled was not representing the best of the community. I think people really kind of let this one fly, especially against this player, and really just kind of went right off the rails and immediately was like, this is why we don't have a judge program, this is why this Ravensburger sucks, this player sucks, cheating sucks, there's too many cheaters. And I do think at the end of the day the rules are the way that they are because they want this game to be inclusive to new players, you know?
Yeah. So now a separate topic from was it ruled correctly is, was he cheating? Because no matter what the error is and no matter what the rules tell you, if it is cheating, it is a disqualification, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Just straight up. Yeah. So personally, I don't think he was cheating. I'm just gonna go on record. I don't care. People can blast me. I already went on record commenting on something on Twitter, which seemed to be helpful, and I felt like as soon as I did that, there was like a little bit of a wave also jumping on board, being like, yeah, you know what? I feel this way too. Because some people, you know, especially if you see many comments or hear many things, are kind of afraid to have the other opinion. Whereas, whatever, I'm not. I don't even know this person.
Yeah.
I was 100% fully going to come on a video and say, I think this person cheated. And I have completely flipped because the thing I had in my brain was, when I take a deck, right? Mm-hmm. I'm a whole New World enjoyer. I don't even I don't lay them out on the table or anything. I just peel 7 cards off. And I have not ever once drawn an extra card doing so. I have also played games with cards that feel exactly like this since I was 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what ended up happening was I was in a Spaces on Mox Jeremy's Twitter channel for a little bit, and you know, may or may not be a good thing, Braden got on. Okay. And Braden said, you know, what's your experience in trading card games? And you know, he said, I played Yu-Gi-Oh for 10 years, which I know, red flag. All right.
Hear him out.
Kidding. But I couldn't imagine me like knowing what 7 Yu-Gi-Oh cards feels like, right? So my whole argument that I had is already circumstantial. I felt so stupid having it personally.
Yeah. Because
I'm like, what do you mean you don't know what 7 cards feels like? Like, you start with 7 cards. You're constantly drawing 7 cards. You know, stuff like that. So my argument was completely out the window. And, you know, people can destroy me in the comments all you want. Please do it on the YouTube video and not on Facebook so that we get the engagement.
That's so true. It's so true.
But yeah. So I personally think he was cheating.
You don't think, because you broke up a little bit there. You don't think he was cheating?
I think he was cheating. No.
Okay.
And here's a soundbite for the beginning of the video. Was he cheating? I don't think so. That'll get people.
That'll get him.
That'll get people.
So, and with that, I want to say, right, mistakes happen, and mistakes are not the same as cheating. And I think often what happens is, and we kind of saw it, I hate to like reference this in a way that defends what we saw in Melbourne, but we did kind of see it in Melbourne, where if we were going to get super technical about it, the like whole broom like goat thing technically just technically, right, was not cheating. What it was like an unsportsmanlike kind of conduct, right, where it was intentionally like a rule shark sort of thing to be a gotcha for your opponent. But he did not like cheat his opponent, but that was the way that it was talked about, right? Like everybody was like, oh, this guy cheated in the finals of Melbourne, it was crazy, right? And I think similarly here, which again, this is not me putting words in Zan's mouth, this is what Zan said. As we see here, I'm putting it up again to not, like, you know, this is his words. The tweet is still up. It says, if this isn't cheating, I don't know what is, right? So immediately, the way that this conversation was presented and introduced to all of us was through the lens of this is cheating. And that, I think, is not okay in the sense that we as a community should not be so quick to judge in that way. I think it's hard because then, you know, you're like, you have a potential to give true cheaters the benefit of the doubt. But I think the only two people it sounds like that were actually there were Zan and Hector, because everybody else, like, there wasn't even a judge sitting at the table, right? They had to call a judge over. So truly, the only people
there were some spectators, but a lot of people walked up after they had heard that there was a commotion.
Exactly. And so I think that's the biggest thing for me when I saw this was like, whoa, like, yes, you know, we can talk about how we want our game to be better and we want there to be less cheating. But dogpiling like one player in particular is like, for what could be an honest mistake, we don't know. It's just like not the way to go about it, I think. And so But you said, like, to give credit to like Zan Syed as well, you understood why, you know, Zan might have been frustrated.
Yeah, I didn't want to cut you off, but I do want to say, and like, I'm not personally friends with Zan.
Right.
I do look forward to seeing him and like the world class crew and like his friends from Georgia when I go to events. Since meeting most of them at SSG, nothing but a pleasure, honestly. Right. And then even talking to them at CCS, nothing but a pleasure. And like, we had just like stood up for people dogpiling on him for Metafy.
Absolutely, right? Yeah. So, no issues with Zan.
The same way that we should give the player the benefit of the doubt, we should also give him the benefit of the doubt that like he wasn't necessarily trying to start a witch hunt.
Right.
But he is right now one of, if not the loudest voices and someone that will actually bring change in instituting certain policies or judge programs. So like, I personally think it could have been worded better.
I agree.
But I'm hoping that after this whole week of everyone like fighting and like kind of being ridiculous, I hope that at the end of the day, all of that energy gets turned into something positive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to say as well, I agree. I think that, you know, Zan could have worded it better, but also to look at Zan's perspective, like you said, Zan is, you know,
Dan probably had like a PTSD flashback from Chris Croy.
Oh, jeez. So. right. Well, what you said Zan's been cheated before, so that's one thing. Yeah, but also, you know, like, to give credit where credit's due, like, Zan is one of the best players, and he's also under a microscope. So, like, imagine how, like, Zan, I saw somebody say this, and I really agreed with it. Zan has to play perfectly every single time because, like, forbid Zan accidentally draws an extra card one time, like, his reputation is so, like, I guess, quote unquote over, in the sense that, like, of course people are going to understand mistakes happen, but also so many people are going to use that to be like, see, everybody's a cheater, you only get to the top by cheating, and it would like totally muddle his whole career. So like, he's probably like frustrated to see somebody not taking as much care as he has to take. Also, there's a lot of money on the line, you know what I mean? Like, this is like an important thing, and so he probably feels like, you know, for us to be at, you know, probably the top tables at this point, to not play cleanly, and like, he lost out, he didn't make it into top 8 or into top 16 or anything like that. I think he was maybe like 20 or so, whatever he placed, it was not in the top 8 is the point, right? And so he lost out on some money, and like, being frustrated in the moment, it's easy to be like, well, I only lost because of this. We talked about all this, right? Like, this is just normal stuff that happens to players. So like, Zan being upset and frustrated is also a normal reaction, but I think it's just like, in the same way that like, we have to be fair and balanced with the way that we talk about what happened with Hector, we also have to, like, you know, understand, like, what Zan did, why he did it, and how it might have some impacts on this player and also the community. So I think you're right. I think at the end of the day, it has been a lot of drama, which sure, is fun to scroll through, but really we all do want to see positive change, and hopefully we can direct some of that energy into things like a judge program, which I think the community would love to see.
Yeah, I also, again, like, just because I want everyone to see everyone's side of this, I also want to point out some of the things that people have said about Zan's side where they thought Zan was wrong. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things was like continuing to ask for a different ruling from the judge after you've gotten a ruling after an appeal. Okay. One of those things was Zan was never winning that game anyway, which that can go either way. It's like, okay, well, you still can't let someone cheat if they were, even if you were in a losing position,
Right?
Stuff like that. So, but like, there are arguments from all sides that are both valid and crazy. So.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's all alleged as well. Like, at this point, I only know what was tweeted. I don't even know what actually happened. I have the video, and I have Zan's interpretation of that video, right?
And like, I was in that Twitter Spaces for like 5 minutes. For one, I couldn't believe I was awake that early. I had to take my kids to the park for a play date because I was gone all weekend, and I felt bad. And they ran in here and were like, "When are we leaving?" I'm like, "Right now." I'm sorry. So like, I heard stuff happened after I left. I didn't witness it. Like, right. So I also just don't want anyone like being like, "Well, you were part of the problem. You were in this Spaces that whatever happened." All I know is at the end of the day, I was happy to hear his side. I was happy that he was willing to go on there and say something with his actual voice instead of like just typing, which anyone can read any way they want.
Yeah.
Right. If I got, then oh well. Yeah, at the end of the day. But I truly believe that it was unintentional.
And I think perhaps the most important thing of all is like, it's not for us to decide. If you have an interaction with a player that you think is, sus, let's just say, and you call a judge over and that gets handled however it is, the solution is not to like now and forever, label this person as a cheater, but you can proceed with caution and you can keep that in the back of your mind for yourself, right? But like, CCS handled it the way that they thought it was supposed to be handled, and so like all we can do as a community is accept the ruling that was given because it wasn't egregious, right? Given the fact that it wasn't egregious, because if it was egregious, like Melbourne was egregious, that was an egregious ruling. We got that corrected, right, by speaking up. But things, you only see change when you speak about things like with like accurate like criticism and feedback, not like mob mentality, right? Level head. Yes, thank you. And so I think that's the thing is like the biggest thing is like I don't know, maybe I'm too nice, but I'm just always calling for like this community to just be better, and I think that we're just constantly like not being better. So like
I'm all right, I'm gonna disagree with you. I think that this is the best community I've ever been in.
Yeah, well, I meant in the sense that like I'm always taking the very like diplomatic route out, and I get it. People are probably like, she should probably have a backbone a bit more. But my thing is like, actually, like, what is gonna change if we're just like, Ravensburger, this sucks, everything is bad, this community's trash? Or we could just be like, hey, this was a ruling, it was ruled correctly, but like we were actually upset about that, here's why. And that's where you see like people like Snobby, who used to be the head judge at some of the DLCs, like, we proposed a judge program, said this situations like this are exactly why we need it, and ultimately that's the end of it. There's no reason to go and like harass Hector. Like, and so I think that's really where this lies, is like we just need to do a better job of like actually communicating our issues and not just immediately being like, well, here's my pitchforks. So yeah, which I think is fair to say. So I don't know, that's the drama of the week, I guess. Thanks for listening, we appreciate you. Something we wanted to say,
we got some housekeeping.
Go ahead.
And it's only to the people that are still listening, because it's to make fun of all the people who have commented on Facebook, or who, again, commented immediately when the video was posted. Which, by the way, people at CCS told me they loved that intro. And like, someone, I don't want to name anyone, someone specifically at CCS comes up to me and goes, dude, I clicked on that video to destroy you and to leave it a thumbs down. He's like, and then I really liked what you said. So
So
it's hilarious how many people agreed with the points we made in the video, but commented on Facebook or DM'd us or commented on YouTube and said, "You're an idiot. This is how it should be." And
Yeah.
we're like, "Oh, that's what we
that's
said."
what we said.
It's hilarious.
I think
And,
I'm too good at
yeah.
clickbait. I think I'm too good at getting the people riled up. I can't wait to see
Like,
what this one's going to be titled. It's probably going to be something horrible.
Unfortunately, that is how you're successful on YouTube.
But yeah, we want to say thank you to everybody for all of the support so far and the reception on the last video. And I just like, it's been so cool to like read everybody's comments and like just like be a part of a discussion in this way. So
It was crazy, like because we have so few subscribers, it was crazy how many people came up to me in person, and it was only a 300-person tournament.
Yeah.
Like, there were more people at the tournament than we have subscribers, and so many people came up and said specific things to me that me or you said in the video. Like, they actually watched the video. So it was really cool.
all of that is to say we are so grateful, and while we're on the subject, don't forget to subscribe. Only 25% of you watching are subscribed. Dick hates it, but I gotta do it. That's how we grow the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to leave us a comment, leave us a like, let us know what you think. But as I say, as always, be nice about it. Jesus, you people are catty. All right, that's gonna be it for us, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.